and I'm here with Wichita Park and Recreation doing a little yoga flow class with you this morning, or in the evening, whatever time you're watching this video. This class is going to work on creating a little bit of strength and alignment in the body, and in particular in the torso, to really elongate the spine, engage some of those muscles in our back that we don't use very often, and really help us to open our chest and our shoulders. A lot of times in our culture, we find ourselves kind of hunching over with our head forward. We sit at desks all day, we sit on the couch and watch TV, we drive our cars around, and that can really cause a lot of the front of our body to be rounded forward and kind of hunched over. So it's really nice for our bodies and for our minds to practice some opening in the chest and shoulders, strengthening our back, and that'll help keep us safe and feeling good, and hopefully maybe even alleviate some of the pain that we may have accumulated throughout the years of all this forward behavior. So we're going to start just seated on the ground in any comfortable seated position. I have my legs just kind of crisscross, but you could also be sitting on your knees or anything that's comfortable for you. I also have a few props over here with me today that you can use if you have them at home. I have a couple of blocks here. These are just a standard yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block with you, some of the things you can actually use just to roll a toilet paper at home like this. I also have a blanket here. You can use any blanket or towel. So the first thing I'm going to do is sitting on the floor to use the blanket to kind of help prop myself up. So you want to think of having your sit bones being level on the ground, and you can kind of do that. You can pull the fleshy part of your booty kind of out from underneath you and sit on the edge of a blanket or towel that's kind of folded up to kind of give you a best posture while you're sitting. As you're down here on the ground, let's take a look at our pelvis. So if you think of your pelvis, you can think of it as a level bowl. We want to try to keep it level as we're sitting. Some of us tend to tilt our pelvis forward, and that can actually bring us into more of a back bend. Or some of us tend to tilt our pelvis back, which can kind of cause even more rounding forward. So really think of keeping that pelvis as a nice level bowl so that your spine can extend nice and long all the way up through the crown of the head, almost as if a string were attached from the bottom of the tailbone all the way up to the ceiling. So find your comfortable seat, and let's take a few moments to connect with our breath. You might bring your gaze down towards the floor. You can even close the eyes altogether. And take a few moments here at the beginning of class to just start to notice all the different things that are going on within you. As we're working to strengthen and align our bodies, it's really helpful to become very conscious of how we're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally. And one of the quickest ways that we can start to connect to how we feel is to simply become more aware of our breath. So as you lengthen through the crown of the head and sit up tall, maybe roll your shoulders down and relax them down and away from the ears onto the back. The hands can be anywhere that's comfortable in the lap. With your eyes closed or your gaze just down towards the floor, also think of bringing your internal gaze, your inner awareness, down into your heart space, down towards the center of the chest. And start by just becoming aware of the breath. You don't have to change your breath in any way right now, but just notice how it feels as the air flows in through the nostrils, comes down the throat, into the lungs, maybe even further down into the diaphragm, into the belly. And notice how the breath feels as it flows back up, out the lungs, up through the throat and out the nose. As you bring your awareness to your breath, you may notice that it could naturally begin to slightly lengthen and deepen. It might become a little bit more even. Or it might still be kind of jagged and quick. And that's fine too. So just take note of whatever is there right now at the start of practice. Bring one hand to your belly. And now as you inhale, imagine that there's a balloon in your belly, expanding on the inhale as you fill the breath, or fill the belly with the breath. And feel that balloon expand with your hand. As you exhale, exhale as if you're blowing out a candle through pursed lips. And feel the balloon gently deflating and the belly hugging back in towards the spine. Inhale, the balloon expands. Exhale, the balloon gently deflates. Really try to feel all of the breath leave the body on the exhale. You might even extend the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. Perhaps inhaling for a count of 3, exhaling for a count of 5, inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling to a count of 6. Whatever's comfortable for you. Take 3 more of these nice deep belly breaths. You can bring the hand back to the lap after you've completed your 3rd breath, and allow the breath to come back to its own natural pace. And notice now if maybe the mind is a little more settled, if the body's a little bit more relaxed. And as we go about the rest of our practice today, use that deep and conscious breath to help you stay connected to your body, to what the mind is doing, and to your practice. Gently begin to open your eyes, come back to the space of the room that you're in. And we want to start with a quick warm-up for the spine. So we want to move the spine in 6 directions. That's a side bend in both directions, a little bit of a back bend and a forward bend, and then a twist in both directions for 6 total. So we'll start off with that. So find your comfortable seat. You can adjust your seat if you need to. Find your sit bones on the floor. Inhale to lift the chest, lengthen through the crown of the head, and bring your arms out to the mat beside you. If you don't have a mat at home, that's no problem either. You can just do this on the floor, on the carpet, wherever you are. Even outside in the grass would be great. So take a couple of breaths here. We'll then inhale, lift the right arm up overhead, and then side bend to the side. This is your right arm. I might have said left, I don't remember. So lifting through the right arm, bending to the left side. Inhale, we'll come back up and do the second side. Inhale the arm up, and on an exhale, gently bend other direction. Good. Inhale, come back to center, other side again. And switching. And we'll do one more time, each side. So lifting the right arm, extending through the right side body, even feeling as though you could breathe only into the right lung here. And come back up, and one more time, left arm, breathing into the left side body. And find your way back to the center. Now maintain that level bowl in the pelvis here, and we want to just gently rock back and forth a little bit. So we're keeping the spine nice and long, and we're just starting to kind of get that idea of tilting the pelvis a little bit forward and back. But mostly we're just keeping the spine long, keeping the sit bones grounded. And now turn it into a little bit of a turn, so like a clock. We're just going to start rotating now in one direction or the other, it doesn't matter. But imagine you could keep the pelvis kind of level and think of the spine almost like as a wooden spoon, and you're stirring up a pot of soup. So keeping the spine nice and long, not rounding, and switch directions. And now we'll add a little bit of that rounding and back bending into it as well. So think first of just kind of tilting the pelvis forward, pulling the chest forward, pulling the shoulders back, maybe lifting the gaze. And this is on an inhale. On an exhale, we'll pull the belly back in towards the spine, tilt the pelvis, and rotate, pulling the shoulders forward, maybe dropping the chin to the chest. This is your exhale. Inhale, pulling the chest forward again. Exhale, round. And we're just doing this gently, so not causing any extra tension or pain, just starting to loosen up the spine and all the muscles around in the back, in the chest. One more inhale to come forward, and exhale to round, and then come back to a tall, neutral spine. Take an inhale here to lift again, and start to rotate the belly button towards your left knee. So we're coming into a bit of a twist here. You can use the hands on the floor for a little bit of support. So first turning with the belly button towards the knee, and then really turning from the upper part of the back and the shoulders. The lower part of our back doesn't have as much availability to twist, so we don't want to injure it. So think of most of your twist coming from the upper part of the back. And you can even shift your hips a little bit to help adjust so you're not hurting your lower back. As you inhale, really lengthen. Think of making little spaces in between each vertebrae of the spine. And as you exhale, you maybe can twist just gently a little bit deeper, just as if you're like wringing out a washcloth, trying to get any tension to kind of let go, shake itself out. Take an inhale here, and exhale, we'll gently rotate back around to the front. Inhale once you get to the front. And on your next exhale, gently rotate your belly button over to your opposite knee. Again, using the hands for support. And with each breath, finding a little more length of the spine, and maybe finding a little bit more depth in our twist. One more inhale to grow tall, and exhale, gently come back to to the front of the mat. Now we'll come into our hands and knees. We've done our 6 spinal movements. So we'll come into tabletop or hands and knees, and now you can use that blanket or towel under your knees for a little extra support so our knees don't hurt if we're on a hard surface or something like that. So come to hands and knees. We want our knees to be directly under the hips, wrists directly under the shoulders, so a nice straight line. Hopefully I have a nice straight line here, so it's actually showing you in the video. Let's spread our fingers wide and really press the hands, the palms of the hands down into the mat. Also feel the tops of the feet pressing down into the mat, the knees, the tops of the legs. If it's more comfortable, you can also keep your toes curled under here. It's totally up to you. So let's start here by just gently gliding forward a few inches on the inhale and gliding back a few inches on the exhale. This is a gentle lumbar nerve glide to start to open up the lower part of our backs. It might not feel like a lot to you, and that's just fine. It's still working, even if it doesn't feel like it's a big stretch. So really using our breath here to guide us in our movements. Inhaling, we scoot forward. Exhaling, we slide back. And keep the gaze down and slightly in front of you, keeping the neck in line with the spine as well. We don't want to be looking up too much or looking down too much. So a nice, even neck and spine. And we'll come into some circles with the hips here. So sending the hips down, back and around. Exhaling as we send the hips back. Inhaling as the hips come forward, and we'll switch directions. And find yourself back in a neutral spine in tabletop. Really connect to your hands here. Press down into the mat, and imagine you could pull the mat apart with the hands. So pulling the mat this way, or imagining that you could, bend the elbows just slightly out to the side, and then gently hug them back in. Notice if you can feel some of those muscles in the back and the shoulders engage when you do that. Just gently bending into the elbows and then pulling the elbows in to help engage the back. We'll inhale, tuck our toes under if they're not already. We'll push through the hands, press into the feet to lift the hips up and back into a down dog. We can really bend our knees here to help us send our sit bones up and back. Really press fiercely into the hands. You can walk the feet out here, pressing through one heel, bending one knee, and switching, whatever feels good for you. So take a couple of pedals of the feet. Take nice deep breaths into the belly and exhaling fully. And we'll bring the knees back down to the mat. Take a breath here. If you'd like, you can also sit back into a child's pose by bringing the hands out in front and sending the hips back towards the feet. And we'll come back up into table. So notice now that as we start to come into a little bit more challenging poses, like down dog might be, your breath might start to become a little more jagged or uneven. So really try to connect to the belly with that breath. And that'll help you stay conscious and safe and working well in your poses. So one more time, let's inhale, curl the toes under, and exhale, press the seat up and back into down dog. Really press fiercely into the hands. Allow the shoulders to relax down and wide onto the back. You can keep pedaling the feet here if you'd like. And the heels are going towards the mat, but they don't have to be all the way down. In fact, it might be even better for your back to go ahead and just bend the knees quite a bit and really lengthen all the way through the tailbone. Breathing into the belly. Exhaling completely. And take one more breath here. Good. On the exhale, bring the knees back down onto the mat. We're in table. Let's bring our right leg in between our hands. We're coming into a little lunge here. You want the knee to be right above the ankle, so keep mindful of that. Really use your hands for support here. You can also grab a couple blocks if you have them available to kind of help you lift yourself up. If not, that's also fine. Just really use the floor. You can also use fists here for a little extra support. Also, if you like, you can lengthen this back leg back a little bit more, or you can bring it up for a little extra support as well. So whatever version is most comfortable for you. Really press through the feet, press through the top of the back foot and the full front foot. And we'll inhale, hinge up at the hips to lift the torso. Good, keep pressing through the feet. Press through the grounded knee, finding a firm foundation. Keep breathing here. Let's bring the arms out to the sides to even help us open the chest further. Let the shoulders relax down and away from the ears. Keep pressing into the floor. Imagine you could hug the front leg back into its hip socket, and you're pulling the front or the back leg forward into its hip socket as well. Inhale, let's lift the arms up. Even lifting the gaze a bit, coming into a gentle back bend if it's comfortable. One more inhale. And exhale, bring the hands down. We'll switch sides. So coming back to table and bringing the left foot forward. Get set up in whatever variation is best for you here, finding a nice comfortable position. Make sure this front knee is directly over the ankle. And once you find that nice foundation and feel strong, press into the floor to hinge yourself up. You can use the hands on the leg here for a little support. Bring the hands to the hips. Or open the arms up. Lift and spread the toes of the front foot here. That'll help you keep that whole leg nice and active. And keep breathing. On an inhale, let's gently lift the arms up towards the sky. Take a couple more breaths here. And on your exhale, replace the hands. Step the foot back into table. Let's go ahead and sit back into child's pose. And take 3 full breaths here. Tune in again to the feeling of the breath, the feeling of the body. And after your 3rd breath, come back up into table. Press through the hands, press down into the legs. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, send the hips up and back into down dog. You can walk out the feet once again if you'd like. And then we're going to come to a standing position. So let's take the feet wide, maybe even just wider than the mat. Really bend into the knees and walk the hands back towards the feet. And then use the hands on the legs for support to help you lift yourself up. Perfect. Here you can kind of pull your blanket away, anything that's on the mat. Get it a little bit out of your way. Good. So I want to talk a little bit about hinging from a standing position. I talked about the pelvis a bit from the sitting position, so let's talk about hinging from a standing position. Come to the short edge of your mat and stand with your hips, with your feet about a hip's width apart. So you can see me here about like this. Think of keeping your hips right over the ankles and the shoulders over the hips, and then let the head float. Again, thinking of a string holding you up all the way to the ceiling. This is Tadasana, or mountain pose. So we'll start here in mountain. Press down through the feet, and now pretend you could pull the mat apart with the feet. Lift and spread the toes. Feel that nice, strong foundation, and feel that help you activate all the way up into the legs. As you inhale, maybe roll the shoulders up, and exhale, let them relax down and onto the back. The head just floating gently on the neck. And as we go to hinge from a standing position, we really want to think of hinging at the hips, not rounding the back forward to bend, but to move from the hips, almost like you're on a door hinge. We don't want to curve the door. It's a nice and flat door. So we're keeping the back nice and flat. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me a little bit. Bring your hands here to your hip crease. So the part where the leg and the hip meet when you bend your leg up. We'll bring our hands here. Inhale to grow tall and keep grounding through the feet. On an exhale, just gently start to hinge here from the hips, keeping the back nice and long, and only coming to a point where we can keep the back long. So if you find that you're trying to come down really far and rounding the back, just gently come up a little bit and really focus on keeping the back nice and long. If you'd like to come down a bit further, simply do that by bending the legs a little, and you might find that you can hinge forward a bit more. And you can use the hands on the legs here for support. You can come all the way down to the floor, or you can always use blocks or some books or something if you have that at home to help you with a little extra support. To come back up, we'll press down into the feet and inhale, really pressing into the feet to push ourselves back up nice and straight. Good. Take a couple of breaths here. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands together, pull the hands in towards the heart, and hinge now again. Again, only at the hips. Coming down as far as is comfortable for you, maybe to blocks, maybe all the way to the floor. And if you have no osteoporosis, osteopenia, or anything like that, then you can round your back a bit as you feel comfortable. But for most of us, it's really beneficial just to keep that nice, long spine. Keep breathing fully here. And on an inhale, press into the feet to lift yourself back up. Come to Tadasana again, so just your mountain pose. Now bend your knees and start to send your hips back as if you were going to sit down on a high stool. You'll hinge slightly here, but keep the chest lifted. So we're bending the knees, sitting back on that high stool. This is a little baby chair pose. Open the arms out wide at the sides. So you're pressing into the feet, still pressing the mat down and away with the feet. And as you inhale, think of really shining the heart forward. The shoulders are relaxing down. And the gaze is slightly forward. We don't want to look straight up, but just slightly down so that our neck is still in line with the rest of the back. This is a great strengthener for the muscles along the sides of the back that we don't spend a lot of time engaging, especially if we're sitting around at a computer or watching TV. So keep breathing, keep holding the pose. And on an inhale, press through the feet to come up. Bring the hands to the heart center. Take 3 breaths. And just feel your whole body right now. All the way from the feet, up the legs, into the hips, up into the chest, the shoulders, the arms, into the head. We'll step back now. I'm going to start with my left leg. Step back with the left leg to a short and wide. This is going to be a warrior one. So it's a short and wide stance. Your front toes will be facing forward. Your back toes will slightly be angled off to the edge of the mat a little bit. The wider your stance is, the more balance you'll have, and the more narrow your stance is, the more challenging the pose will be. So take a variation that works great for you. Also, the shorter your stance is, the more balance you'll have, and a little bit more challenge would be to take the leg back a little bit. So find a good position that works well for you. We're going to bend into our front knee, but we do not want that front knee to come forward of the ankle. So let the knee be right above the ankle, and look down and see that you can see the arch of the foot and the first and second toes. We want our knee to be just to the outside of that second toe. Lift and spread the toes of the front foot, and then press into the pinky toe side of the back foot. So we're activating through the 4 corners of both feet. Let's bring our hands to the hips, and inhale to lengthen up through the side bodies, and on the exhale, we'll twist from the upper back around to the front. Take a couple of breaths here. And on an inhale, we can lift the arms. This is your warrior one pose, Virabhadrasana 1. As you inhale, really think of lifting through the crown of the head, lifting through the chest. We're in a little bit of a back bend here. And as you exhale, really press down through the feet. On your next inhale, we'll straighten that front leg. Bring the arms down to the hips on the exhale. And inhale to lengthen through the chest and through the crown of the head. Exhale, now we'll hinge at the hips. And again, don't round the back. So if you're coming so far that you're having to round, just simply come back up. Keep that nice long spine. Keep pressing through both feet. And feel the front leg pulling into the hip socket and the back leg pulling forward into the socket. As you Keep breathing here. You might find that you are able to deepen your hinge a little bit. And if you'd like even more of a challenge, you could even bring the hands overhead here. But again, if you're kind of rounding forward and dropping the arms, just gently hinge up a bit to keep that nice long spine. One more deep breath. And on an inhale, press through the feet to rise up. Release the hands down and step into the front foot to come back up to Tadasana. We'll take the opposite leg now. So this is my right leg. Stepping into whatever variation of Warrior One you'd like. Short, wide stance. Front toes facing forward. Back toes are angled a bit to the side. Bend into that front knee. Look down and see that you can see the arch of the foot as well as the first and second toe on the inside of the knee. Lift and spread the toes on the front foot. I'll move this block so you can see my foot. Good. Press through the pinky toe side of that back foot. Bring the hands to the hips. Inhale will lift through both side bodies, creating some length here. And exhale, rotate, twisting towards the front of the mat. Good. On your next inhale, let's lift the arms up. And every inhale, we're lifting through the crown of the head, maybe slightly lifting the gaze. And exhale, press all the way down to the four corners of both feet. On your next inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale to bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, grow tall. And exhale, hinge at the hips. Keeping the spine long. Coming forward, feeling a stretch in that front leg. Again, only coming as far as you are able. So maintaining that stability and strength in the back. Keep breathing here. If you like, you can bring the hands to the heart center. You could lift the arms out overhead. Keep breathing. Take 3 more deep breaths. And after your third breath, we'll inhale to lift up. Exhale to bring the arms down and step into that front leg to come back up to Tadasana. Let's do one more time each side. So take the first leg back again. That's my left. Bend into the front knee, coming into your Warrior One with the legs. Press through both feet. Inhale to lengthen through the side bodies. Exhaling to twist towards the front. Really pulling this front leg back into the hip socket and pulling the back leg forward. Let's inhale to lift the arms up. Exhale, bring the arms down into cactus arms or goalposts with the palms facing one another. And let's take a few breaths like this. Inhaling, the arms come back up. Exhaling down to cactus. Inhaling up. Exhaling to cactus arms, a nice open chest. Feeling the muscles in the back engage. Good. And inhale to lengthen the arms up. We'll lower the arms to the side, step into that front leg, and switch sides. Second side, second time. Bend into the front knee, check the alignment of the knee over the ankle. Press through the pinky toe side of the back foot. Inhale, lengthen through the side bodies. Exhale to twist forward. And let's bring the arms up. Keep pressing through the feet here. Inhale to shine the heart forward. Exhale, bring those arms down to cactus. And continue to move with your own breath. Inhaling the arms up. Exhaling, they come down. One more time, up. And to cactus. And inhale back up. Exhale, release the arms. Step into this front leg to come back to standing. For this next portion, you'll want a wall. It can be any wall. And then we're going to use a prop here. I'm going to use a block because I have one. I don't have yoga blocks at home, so at home, I use a roll of toilet paper. I know I'm going to actually use the toilet paper roll here. So a lot of us don't have, just random yoga props laying around at our house, but there are a lot of great tools we can use to really help us. So for this exercise, we'll come up to the wall behind us, use your block or your roll of toilet paper, whatever it is, and just put that right behind your head, between the wall and your head. Then we'll just gently step our feet away from the wall, just a few steps. And really plant down through the feet, just like we were when we were standing in Tadasana. So plant through the feet, maybe lift and spread the toes. And inhale to lift the chest and let the arms open. So feel your head gently pressing into the block or the toilet paper roll, the pillow, whatever you're using as your prop here. Reach back and feel the back of your neck. You should feel kind of like a little ditch, like two raised parts, and then right in the middle, a little ditch here where that's how you know you have your neck in the correct alignment as you do this pose. So we're going to stand here like this, continuing to breathe, lifting through the heart, exhaling, grounding through the feet. Continue to breathe like this for 90 seconds or so. And this is great for bringing your head back into alignment over your shoulders. Since most of us do spend so much time really forward facing, our head tends to kind of track forward of our neck and shoulders. And for every inch forward that your head sits on your neck, it's an extra 10 pounds of weight that you're having to carry around. Some people with pretty bad posture actually have their head like about 4 inches or so further forward than where it should be. That's an extra 40 pounds of weight that they're having to carry around all day long. So even if you can do just this pose for 90 seconds a couple times a day, that can go really far in helping you regain some of that healthy alignment in the spine and in the neck. All right, it's been about at least a minute or so. So after your 90 seconds is over, simply walk your feet back up towards the wall, remove your prop, and we'll just kind of lean back against the wall here and take 3 or 4 breaths. Feel the whole body breathing here. Noticing how you're feeling. And then we'll just come back to the mat for our cool down. So come back down to the mat, just coming to any comfortable seat at first. Find that comfortable seat. Inhale to lift through the crown of the head. Exhale, let's drop the right ear to the right shoulder and extend the left arm out to the side a little bit. Just stretching out the neck here, stretching the shoulder. Reconnecting once again to that breath down into the belly. And as you breathe, you can even imagine that you are sending some new clean energy into the space of the neck and the shoulder. And as you exhale, you're sending any of that old stagnant energy down the arm, out the fingertips, and into the floor. Good. Bring the arm back in towards the body. Lift the head back up to the center. Inhale to grow tall. And exhale, drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. Extend the right arm out along the floor. Maintaining the nice deep breath. Again, breathing into any tension that you're feeling in the neck, in the shoulder. And with every exhale, imagining you can just wash a little bit more of that tension down the arm, out the fingertips. Release the hand back to the side of the body. Inhale to bring the head up. And take 2 full breaths here. And we'll make our way down onto the floor. So we'll start with our knees bent, feet are flat on the mat. We're laying all the way onto our backs. And notice now that as we begin to kind of lay down and get comfortable, maybe we feel like we're not having to exert as much energy. This is a great time that our mind will start to try to wander away from our practice. So as your mind does wander, simply try to remind it to focus on the breath. Focus on the breath. Start by bringing your right knee into your chest, using the hands for support at the front of the shin. If this is comfortable enough for you, that's perfect. And if you'd like, you can extend this other leg down along the floor. Either way, keep pressing through the lifted heels. So we want to pull our toes back towards the knee, press through the heel to really keep the legs nice and engaged here. You can bring the knee slightly out to the side of the body to open the hip a little bit more if that's comfortable. And then let's push the heel up towards the ceiling. Clasp the hands behind the thigh here and gently press the leg into the hands while pulling the hands into the leg. Keep pressing through the heels to keep the legs active. And moving with your own breath, begin to bend and straighten the lifted leg. So we'll take a nice inhale here. Exhale, hug the knee in. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, hug the leg in. Exhale, extend. And we'll hug the leg in one more time. And now lengthen that leg down along the floor next to the other. Take a moment to take a few breaths and feel the right side and the left sides of the body. Now start with both knees bent again. We'll hug the left leg into the chest. Press through the heel, pulling the toes towards the knee. Extending this other leg down along the floor if that's comfortable for you. Continuing to breathe. Maybe beginning to notice if the energy in the body has changed since the start of our practice. You could take this knee slightly to the outside of the body if that's comfortable for you. And then we'll press this leg back or up towards the ceiling. Heel towards the ceiling, toes back towards the knee, clasping behind the leg, gently pressing the leg into the hands. And then inhale here. Exhale, gently hug the knee in. Inhale the leg up. Exhale, the knee hugs in. And you're moving with your own breath. You don't have to feel like your breath has to match mine. And one more time, up and down. Release this leg down along the floor as well. Taking a moment again to feel the right and the left sides of the body. Bend both knees now, bringing the feet to the mat. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, creating a little figure 4 here. And then we'll gently let the foot just kind of fall to the side. So we're coming into a twist here. Keep your arms out to the sides and press down into the backs of the hands to help you keep your core nice and engaged. And if the foot doesn't come all the way down to the floor, that's perfectly fine. You can grab one of those blocks if you'd like to kind of put that under the foot. You could use your blanket from earlier under the foot for a little extra support. That would be great. As you breathe here in the twist, really send all that new clean energy from the inhale into the full body. And exhale, imagining any leftover tension could just drain out into the floor. Bring the legs back up, and we'll switch sides, uncrossing the right leg. Cross the left leg over the right knee. Arms are out to the sides. And gently start to lower this foot down towards the floor. Press into the backs of the hands, the backs of the arms. And breathe here. Once again, bring the legs back up. We'll step the feet just wider than the mat. Let the knees fall in towards one another. A little bit of internal rotation now. And then as you're ready, stretch both legs out long along the mat. Let the feet just lay open. The arms can be open. Or you could bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart, both hands to the belly, whatever's most comfortable for you. This is Shavasana, our last pose of the class. So I'll invite you to stay here in this position. I'll go ahead and come up and then I'll cue you into the Shavasana. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for this practice today. I hope you found it useful. Maybe a little bit of nice opening for the chest and the back. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you come and find us out at Wichita Park and Recreation. And I hope you'll join me in ending your practice in Shavasana. So as you're laying down on the floor here, gently begin to close the eyes and connect to your breath once again. Feel the breath coming in through the nose, down the throat, into the heart, and down into the belly. And feel the exhale as it comes back up from the belly, up out of the lungs, out the throat, and out the nose. Bring your attention to your entire back body. Feel the back body heavy along the floor, almost as if there were anchors holding the back body down. Let the front body feel nice and light. Imagine the front body was so light that it could actually expand up and away, floating away from the heavy and grounded back body. Relax your jaw. Let the ears fall to the pull of gravity towards the floor. Relax the inner and outer corners of your eyes. And let the forehead go smooth. Every inhale, imagine a warm light at the space at the center of your chest. With every inhale, that warm light grows and expands. And with every exhale, relax into that expanded space. Continue breathing and expanding into this warm light. And rest now for a few minutes in this space, feeling relaxed, knowing that this peaceful and calm space is within you and available to you at any time. Rest here now as long as you'd like in this warm space of the heart.